There is a kind of man who kills his own respect without ever raising a fist. He doesn't need to fail publicly or lose everything. All he has to do is open his mouth. You've met him. Maybe, on some days, you are him. He sits in a group of friends, at work, at the dinner table. He talks the loudest, interrupts the fastest, explains the most. He cuts people off, corrects details that don't matter, and turns every story into a stage for his ego. On the outside, he thinks he looks confident, clever, untouchable. But in the eyes of everyone watching, he is shrinking, not because he is weak, but because his words are. Think about the last argument in a cafe, a team meeting, a family chat. There is always that one voice that keeps repeating the same phrases. I already know that. That's easy. It's not my fault. I don't care what anyone thinks. He thinks these sentences make him look strong. In reality, they leak insecurity, fear, laziness, and a total lack of self-mastery. What if the real reason people stop respecting you is not your failures but your phrases? What if stupidity is not about your IQ, but about the way you use your tongue to stab your own growth over and over again? Epictetus taught that people are not destroyed by events, but by their opinions about those events. Your words are the recording of those opinions. Every sentence you repeat is a tiny program written into your mind. Speak like a victim long enough, and you become one. Speak like a child, and life will keep treating you like one. In this video, we'll walk through 8 phrases a foolish man loves to say, and more importantly, how to replace each one with the language of a Stoic man, calm, disciplined, and quietly powerful. If you're ready to stop leaking respect with every sentence and start speaking like a man who truly respects himself, stay with me and consider subscribing to Stoic Current, and say this quietly to yourself. I'm willing to change the way I speak, because I'm willing to change the man I am becoming. Number 1. I already know that. You've said it before. Maybe not out loud, but in your head. Someone shares a book that changed their life, a habit that helped them climb out of a dark season, a piece of feedback that could actually make you better, and your first reaction isn't curiosity. It's irritation. I already know that. It sounds harmless. It even sounds confident. But underneath, this sentence is quietly killing your ability to grow. Picture your mind as a room with a sign on the door. When you were a child, the sign said, "Open." Everything was interesting. Every question was allowed. You didn't care about looking smart. You cared about understanding. But somewhere along the way, that sign changed. Now, every time you think, "I already know that," you hang up a new sign, "Full." Once that sign is up, nothing new can enter. A new perspective walks up and knocks. A hard truth that could save your relationships knocks. A daily habit that could change your health, your money, your emotions knocks. And your ego answers through the door. No need. I already know. Knowledge is like water. In an open container, it stays fresh, moving, alive. In a sealed container, it starts to stagnate. It smells worse over time, even though it's still technically water. That's what happens to a man who clings to what he knows but never lets anything new in. He doesn't become wise, he just becomes stale. Epictetus said, "You cannot learn what you think you already know." If you walk into a conversation, a job, a relationship, or a new season of life with the attitude, "I already know," you shut down the only part of you that can adapt. The Stoics didn't worship knowledge, they trained it. To them, wisdom was not a trophy on a shelf. It was a muscle, and muscles atrophy when they're not used. Modern psychology has a name for this, the Dunning-Kruger effect. The less some people know, the more confident they feel about their opinions. The man who has read one article thinks he sees the whole picture. The man who has lived one experience thinks he understands every story. The truly wise man, the man who has seen a lot, read a lot, and failed a lot, is usually the quietest in the room, not because he is weak, but because he knows how much he still doesn't know. Behind "I already know that" is not boredom, it's fear. Not fear that the information will be useless, but fear that it will expose a gap in you. Because if you admit "I didn't know that," you also admit you are not as advanced, not as polished, not as above it as you like to appear. Your ego would rather protect an image of intelligence than actually become intelligent. It would rather defend old patterns than allow new wisdom to rearrange your life. So you dismiss the advice that doesn't match your habits. You mock the simplicity of practices you've never committed to. You act like you're tired of hearing about discipline, or sleep, or presence, or boundaries. But if someone watched your life from the outside, they'd see the truth. You don't live what you already know. Here is the uncomfortable line between foolishness and growth. Knowing is nothing without becoming. Reading about waking up early doesn't make you disciplined. Watching a video on emotional control doesn't make you calm under pressure. Listening to a podcast on relationships doesn't make you a good partner. Until a truth is lived, it is just noise. So, what do you do with this? You create a new rule in your mind. A quiet rule. Whenever you hear yourself think, "I know this already," you add one more sentence. What am I missing here? Maybe you've heard the concept before, but not from this person, not in this season, not with this level of pain or experience. Ask, what angle have I not considered? What question have I never asked? For 1 week, choose one person in your life, your boss, a mentor, your father, your mother, or your partner, and treat them like a teacher again. Not because they are perfect, but because you can learn something even from their mistakes. Give them 10 minutes of active listening. No interrupting with, "I know." No competing with your own story. No rehearsing your reply in your head. Just listening for one new insight you can carry into your own life. You may be surprised by what happens. When you lower the shield of "I already know that," the world starts to widen again. You become lighter, less defensive. You stop performing intelligence and start building it. A stupid man uses knowledge as a costume. He wants to look impressive in the mirror of other people's eyes. A stoic man uses knowledge as a tool. He wants to build a stronger mind, a calmer heart, a better life for the people he loves. If you need one sentence to carry into your next conversation, let it be this: I choose to be a student more often than I choose to be right. Number 2, that's easy. You've heard this one 1,000 times. Someone shares that they lost 40 pounds after years of struggling with their body. Someone else talks about starting a business from nothing, learning a new language as an adult, raising a child alone, running a marathon after an injury. And then there's that guy. He leans back, smirks, and says, "That's easy." He has never done it himself. He's never dragged his body out of bed at 5 a.m. to train when it hurts. He's never stared at a blank bank account, wondering how to keep the lights on while building something from scratch. He's never sat at the kitchen table at midnight helping with homework after working all day. But from a safe distance, he calls it easy. It's like standing outside a gym, watching someone deadlift 100 kilos and saying, "Lightweight." Your hands are soft, your back has never felt that weight, but your mouth is already judging. Or standing on the shore, watching a swimmer cut through cold, open water and saying, "Come on, that's nothing. You've never swum that far. You've never fought that current." But arrogance makes everything look simple when you're not the one in the water. From far away, every mountain looks smooth. Every victory looks obvious. Every discipline looks like a few simple steps anyone could follow. Marcus Aurelius understood this. Glory looks clean from the outside, but inside it are 1,000 private battles. The days you wanted to quit, the nights you cried, the mornings you dragged yourself forward anyway. A Stoic does not disrespect that price. He knows virtue is paid for in effort, not in opinions. That's easy is not a description of reality. It's a shield. It's the fastest way to push someone's story down so you can float above it for a second. When you say, "That's easy," you're doing three things at once. You are lowering the difficulty of someone else's journey. You are raising your ego without any proof. And you are dodging a brutal question. If it's so easy, why haven't I done it? It's much more comfortable to act like the exam was simple than to admit you never studied. It's easier to say starting a business is nothing than to face your fear of failing publicly. It's easier to say learning a language is easy than to admit you're too impatient to sound stupid for a while. That's easy is a mix of overconfidence and avoidance, a way to hide from your own lack of courage. The truth is, a man who truly knows how hard something is rarely calls it easy. The seasoned lifter respects the weight, even if he can move it. The experienced parent respects the exhaustion of another parent, even if his kids are older now. The man who has started 3 companies knows that every overnight success was built over 10 years. Real strength respects effort. Only fragile egos mock it. Stoicism invites you to relate to difficulty differently. A Stoic doesn't worship struggle, but he does honor it. He knows that every meaningful achievement, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial, comes with a cost. When he sees someone paying that cost, he doesn't rush to the word easy. He asks, "What did it take for you to get there?" Because he understands this. When you respect someone else's discipline, you remind your own mind that growth is possible. So, how do you drop the "that's easy" reflex? First, change your language. The next time you feel that sentence rising in your throat, catch it. Replace "that's easy" with something more honest. It looks simple. How long did it take you to get there? Or, "I respect that. What was the hardest part for you?" These questions do 2 powerful things. They humble your ego and they invite you into reality, the reality of process, not just results. Second, give yourself a challenge. For 7 days, whenever you want to dismiss someone's effort, stop for 3 seconds. Feel that urge to judge. Then, instead of speaking from the sidelines, ask about their journey. Let them talk. Listen to the parts you never see on social media, the setbacks, the doubt, the messy middle. You will start to realize something. Nothing important is as easy as it looks from the couch. Third, turn the question back on yourself. Think of one area where you have secretly said, "That's easy," while doing nothing. Getting in shape, fixing your finances, healing a relationship, building a skill. For that one area, admit this truth. It's not easy. It's simple, but not easy. And I haven't done it yet. Then take one small action this week that moves you from commentator to participant. It's easy to say, "That's easy," when all you lift is your ego. It costs you nothing to talk like that, but it slowly trains your mind to live in fantasy instead of effort. A foolish man lives on the surface of other people's stories, judging from the stands. A Stoic man steps into the arena of his own life and lets difficulty shape him. From today on, pay more attention to the weight people have carried than to how light it looks from the outside. Respect is a form of discipline. It keeps your ego from lying to you. Write this down somewhere, you'll see it often. I respect what I have not yet done. Number 3. It's not my fault. These 4 words are some of the most expensive words a man can say, and they usually come out fast. You're late on a deadline. Immediately, it's because the client changed things last minute. There's tension at home. Instantly, it's because your partner overreacted again. Your finances are a mess. Clearly, it's the economy. A relationship falls apart. Of course, it's because of their trauma, their immaturity, their issues. It's not my fault. It's them. It's life. It's the system. It's everything but me. On the surface, this sounds logical. Sometimes other people really do act badly, Sometimes life really is unfair. But listen carefully. The moment this sentence becomes your reflex, you are not defending your innocence. You are surrendering your power. Imagine that every time you say, "It's not my fault," you weld one more link onto a chain wrapped around your own wrists. Link by link, excuse by excuse, the chain gets heavier. At first, you barely feel it. Over time, you start to realize you can't move. You can't change directions. You can't build anything new. Why? Because you've convinced yourself you never have a say. Blame is like scratching a wound. In the moment, it feels good. There's a twisted satisfaction in pointing at someone else and saying, "They did this to me." It gives you a rush of righteousness. It makes you feel clean. But the more you scratch, the more you reopen what could have been healing. The wound never closes. It just keeps bleeding under new stories. Epictetus put it simply, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The Stoics were not naive. They knew cruelty, betrayal, poverty, exile. Epictetus himself was born a slave, beaten, crippled. If anyone had the right to live in permanent blame, it was him. Instead, he taught the opposite. Your response is your kingdom. The moment you give it away, you become a subject in everyone else's empire. Responsibility in the Stoic sense is not self-condemnation. It's not standing in the mirror and screaming, "Everything is always my fault." That is just another form of ego, turned inward. Real responsibility is calmer, cleaner. It says, "Whether or not this was fully my fault, there is always a part of this situation that is my training ground. There is something here I can own, something I can do." Blame protects one thing, your image. It lets you tell yourself, "I'm innocent, I'm the good guy." But in protecting that image, you sacrifice something much greater, your agency. You trade the truth, "I am not perfect, but I can grow," for the illusion, "I am flawless, but helpless." The brain often prefers feeling right over feeling strong. Look at your own life. Think about a time you told yourself a story for years. "My ex ruined my ability to trust. My boss held me back. My parents messed me up. The market destroyed my chances." Maybe each sentence contains some truth, but notice what's missing from all of them. You, your patterns, your choices, your signals that you ignored, your reactions that made things worse. When you erase yourself from the equation, you also erase your ability to change the outcome next time. A foolish man spends his energy naming villains. A wise man spends his energy naming lessons. So, how do you shift from blame to responsibility without collapsing into shame? Start with one Stoic question. What part of this disaster is my training ground? Not, how do I prove it wasn't my fault? Not, how do I make them admit they were wrong? But where is the piece of this that belongs to me, that I can work on, that can make me stronger? Take one situation you keep blaming others for. Maybe it's a failed business, a toxic relationship, a job that went nowhere. Sit down with a blank page and draw a line down the middle. At the top, write the title of that event. On the left, write, "Outside my control." On the right, write, "Within my control." In the left column, be honest. Write everything you truly couldn't control. The economy, the other person's choices, the timing, decisions made behind your back. Acknowledge them. You're not denying reality. Then, in the right column, be even more honest. Write everything you did control but didn't use well. Times you ignored your intuition. Times you stayed when you should have walked away. Times you didn't prepare, didn't communicate, didn't set boundaries. Times you reacted with anger instead of clarity. Times you chose comfort over courage. This is not a page for self-hate. It is a page for reclaiming the steering wheel. Because once you see the right column clearly, something shifts. You realize that even in the worst situations, There are always moves you could have made differently, not to rewrite the past, but to rewrite the next chapter. The man who constantly says, "It's not my fault," is trying to win a moral argument with the universe. The universe is not listening. Life doesn't reward innocence, it rewards responsibility. The man who says, "This part was on me, and I will change it," is the man who quietly becomes unstoppable. Why? Because he's no longer waiting for fairness, he's focused on his response. Blame feels good, but it never builds anything. It may win you sympathy, but it will never win you strength. Sympathy is nice, but it cannot carry you through the next storm. Strength can. So the next time you hear, "It's not my fault," forming on your tongue, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, if I had to find one thing here I can own, what would it be? It might be small. It might be just your reaction, your tone, your preparation next time. Own that piece. Train that piece. Over time, you will notice something change. Your language will shift from, "They always do this to me," to, "Here is what I will do differently next time." From, "Life is against me," to, "Life is revealing where I need to grow." And in that shift, you become less of a victim and more of a warrior. Blame will always offer you a softer pillow, but responsibility will always offer you a stronger spine. One makes you feel righteous for a moment. The other makes you capable for a lifetime. If you need a compass when things go wrong, let it point to this: I take responsibility for everything I can touch. Number 4. I don't care what anyone thinks. These words usually don't come from a place of peace. They come after something stings. You get criticized in front of others. Someone breaks up with you. A friend pulls away. Your idea is mocked in a meeting. You feel exposed, judged, maybe even humiliated. And then, like a shield, you lift the phrase, "I don't care what anyone thinks." You say it to your friends. You post it online. You repeat it in your head. It sounds powerful, like rebellion, like freedom. But most of the time, it's not freedom speaking. It's a wounded ego trying to pretend it's bulletproof. On the outside, "I don't care" looks like armor. Imagine a suit of metal, shiny and hard. But step inside it and you find something else. Cracks, old bruises, a heart that still flinches at every remembered insult. Or picture a room with a big sign on the door that says, "I don't care." Inside, the walls are covered with mirrors, each one reflecting a different comment, a different moment of judgment. The truth is simple. The louder a man says he doesn't care, the more those mirrors are still controlling him. The Stoics never told you to shut out every opinion. Marcus Aurelius didn't write, "Ignore the world." He said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The Stoic does not use other people's opinions as his God, but he also doesn't pretend they don't exist. He uses them as information, nothing more. There is a world of difference between caring and craving approval. Caring looks like this: I want to be a good father, a good friend, a good teammate. So, I'm open to honest feedback from people who love truth more than my ego. Craving approval looks like this: I need everyone to like me, or I feel like I'm nothing. One is rooted in integrity. The other is rooted in addiction. When a man says, "I don't care what anyone thinks," what he often means is, "I care so much it's exhausting. I don't know how to handle these feelings, so I'll pretend the whole thing doesn't matter." It's not strength, it's emotional shutdown. Stoicism offers a different path. It doesn't ask you to stop feeling, it asks you to sort. Instead of treating every opinion like a law, or rejecting every opinion like poison, the Stoic learns to filter. Imagine your mind as 3 circles. In the inner circle are very few people, the ones who see you up close and still tell you the truth. Their opinions matter, not because they worship you, but because they are willing to challenge you. In the middle circle are many more people: colleagues, acquaintances, extended family, strangers on the internet. Their opinions can be listened to, but they are not allowed to steer your life. They might give you a useful angle now and then, but they don't know your whole story. In the outer circle is everyone else: random critics, trolls, people who misunderstand you on purpose, people whose lives you would never trade for your own. Their opinions do not deserve space in your nervous system at all. Most men reverse this. They ignore the honest feedback of the inner circle, obsess over the middle circle, and give the outer circle full access to their peace. Then, overwhelmed and burnt out, they snap and say, "I don't care what anyone thinks," while caring more than ever. So here's a simple practice. Take a pen and paper. In the inner circle, write down 5 names, no more. These are the people whose feedback you choose to take seriously, even when it hurts. In the middle circle, write 5 more names. People you might learn from, but who don't get to define you. Everyone else goes into the outer circle. The next time criticism comes, ask yourself, which circle is this coming from? If it's the outer circle, let it go. If it's the middle circle, take what's useful and leave the rest. If it's the inner circle, listen twice before you defend yourself even once. This is what real strength looks like. It is not standing on a table screaming, "I don't care what anyone thinks." True strength is quiet. It doesn't need slogans. It simply chooses carefully what to care about. The Stoic man cares deeply about his character, his word, his actions, his principles. He cares about whether he is living in alignment with what is right and what is true. He does not care about pleasing everyone. He knows that if you try to make everyone like you, you will slowly stop liking yourself. So don't numb out your heart with fake indifference. Train it with wise focus. True strength isn't screaming, "I don't care." It's choosing carefully what you care about. Let this line sit in your heart today. I care about my integrity more than my image. Number 5. That's just how I am. These words sound innocent, even honest. They show up in the middle of uncomfortable conversations. Someone tells you, "You lose your temper too quickly. You're always late. You shut down when things get serious. You avoid responsibility." And instead of pausing, instead of reflecting, you shrug and say, "That's just how I am. That's my personality. I've always been this way." It sounds like self-awareness, but it's not. It's a full stop where there should have been a comma. It's the moment growth was invited in and you quietly closed the door. Picture a small room with the door locked from the inside. On the walls, there are posters that say, "Authenticity. This is me. Take it or leave it." It looks like a shrine to being real. But look closer. The windows are shut. The air is stale. Nothing new has entered for years. This isn't authenticity. It's fear disguised as identity. Or imagine a seed buried in the soil, refusing to sprout. Around it, other seeds crack open, grow roots, push through the dirt, reach for the light. This one seed stays closed and proud. "I'm just a seed," it says. "This is who I am." It calls that stubbornness, being true to itself, when, in reality, it is refusing the exact process that would allow it to become what it was meant to be. When you say, "That's just how I am," what you're often really saying is, "I don't want to face how much better I could be." Because if you admit you can change, you also admit that the old version of you was hurting people, wasting time, running from responsibility. It's easier to protect your past self than to upgrade your present self. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That power over your mind includes your habits, your reactions, your tendencies. Stoicism never said, "You are stuck with who you were at 18. It said, "Your character is raw material. Your job is to shape it. Modern culture loves to turn everything into a fixed label. I'm an introvert, so I can't set boundaries or speak up. I'm a fire sign, so of course I explode. I'm a type this or that, so intimacy isn't for me. Those categories can be interesting, but they become dangerous when you treat them as destiny. You start saying, "This is my nature," when it's really just your untrained habit. The brain likes habits because they are efficient. It prefers repeating known patterns over doing the hard work of rewiring. So it defends your old ways by calling them your true self. Anger becomes my passion. Avoidance becomes my vibe. Selfishness becomes my independence. Laziness becomes my creative chaos. The story sounds romantic. The results are not. A Stoic man doesn't deny who he has been. He simply refuses to use it as a prison. He looks at a trait and asks, "Is this helping me live with virtue? Is this helping or hurting the people I love? Is this making me stronger or smaller?" If the answer is smaller, he doesn't hide behind it. He steps into the work of change. Here is a simple practice to break the spell of "that's just how I am." The next time you catch yourself saying or thinking that line, pause and write this question. Is this my nature or my habit? Your nature is your capacity to think, to choose, to grow. Your habit is just the path you've walked most often. They are not the same. Then choose one specific flaw you've been excusing. Maybe it's impatience. Maybe it's interrupting others. Maybe it's shutting down emotionally when conflict appears. Don't try to fix everything at once. Pick one. For the next 7 days, practice one opposite action every day on purpose. If you're impatient, deliberately wait an extra 2 minutes in small situations. Stand in the longer line without reaching for your phone. Let someone finish speaking without jumping in. If you interrupt, force yourself to let others complete their thought twice before you respond. If you shut down, tell one person you trust, "I usually go silent here, but I'm going to stay in this conversation for 5 more minutes." These tiny acts may seem insignificant, but each one sends a new message to your nervous system. We are not fixed. We can do something different. Bit by bit, the room you locked yourself in starts to open. The seed begins to crack. You don't owe loyalty to your weaker self. Your old patterns are not a museum to protect. They are a workshop to keep rebuilding. The oak tree doesn't apologize for outgrowing the seed. The man you're becoming doesn't need permission from the boy you used to be. A foolish man uses "that's just how I am" to stay soft, to avoid apology, to avoid effort. A Stoic man says something different. "That's who I was. I'm choosing who I will be." You are not a finished statue to be admired or defended. You are metal in the fire, being shaped blow by blow, choice by choice. The point was never to stay the same. It was to become true. If you're looking for a quiet promise to yourself, make it this: I am not fixed. I am being forged. Number 6. I'll do it later. These 4 words sound gentle, reasonable, almost responsible. You're not saying no. You're not rejecting the task. You're just shifting it. Training? I'll start next week. Apologizing? I'll message them when things calm down. Working on that important project? I'll focus when I have more time. Learning a new skill? I'll do it when life is less busy. And then days turn into months. Seasons change. You look up and realize later never actually arrived. "I'll do it later" is the sentence where a man quietly sells his future for the comfort of now. On the surface, it doesn't look dangerous. You're not screaming, breaking things, or blowing up your life. You're just delaying. But picture later as a graveyard of dreams. Every beautiful plan you ever had walks in there when you say those words, and most of them never walk out. Imagine walking through that graveyard. Each tombstone has an inscription: gym routine, I'll start after the holidays. Business idea, I'll do it when I feel ready. Language I wanted to learn, I'll start when work slows down. Relationship repair, I'll reach out when they text first. Row after row of later that quietly turned into never. Or think of I'll do it later as a storage room for flammable things. Every time you postpone, you put one more can of gasoline in that room. An unread book, an unsent apology, an unfinished project, an unmade decision. The room looks harmless because the door is closed, but inside, pressure is building. One small spark, one crisis, one health scare, one breakup, and suddenly everything you've been postponing collapses on you at once. Seneca warned, "While we delay, life speeds by." He wasn't writing a motivational quote for the internet. He was describing a brutal reality. You are not just delaying tasks. You are trading hours of a finite life for a feeling of short-term ease. Time doesn't pause politely while you get comfortable. It keeps moving. Marcus Aurelius had no patience for later. He wrote about doing what nature demands right now. Get out of bed, do the work. Speak the truth, clean the mess. He understood something we often forget. You will almost never feel like it first. Waiting for the right mood is how years disappear. Procrastination is not just laziness. Often, it's fear dressed as rest. You delay going to the gym not because walking there is so hard, but because you don't want to face how weak you've become. You delay the apology not because sending a message is so difficult, but because you don't want to face the possibility of rejection. You delay starting the project not because opening a document is hard, but because once you begin, you can no longer hide behind the fantasy of how perfect it could have been. Your brain is built to avoid discomfort. It offers you a trade. Take the easy feeling now. You can pay the price later, but later never shows you the full bill. It doesn't show you the self-disgust after another day wasted, the regret when a door closes, the pain when someone walks away because you kept saying someday. So how do you break this pattern without becoming a machine that never rests? First, use the 2-minute rule. If something will take less than 2 minutes, replying to the email, putting your clothes away, pouring a glass of water instead of grabbing junk, writing one sentence in your journal, do it now. Not later, not after scrolling. Now. These tiny completions rewire your identity. You stop seeing yourself as the guy who never follows through and start seeing yourself as the man who handles what's in front of him. Second, each morning choose one action, not 10, not a whole life overhaul, just one thing that, if you do it today, your future self will respect you more tonight. It might be a workout, a phone call, 30 minutes of deep work, 5 minutes of meditation, one hard conversation. Write it down. Make it non-negotiable. Your day is allowed to be messy. That one action is not. You will still feel resistance. You will still hear, "I'll do it later," whispering in your mind. That's okay. You're not trying to erase the voice. You're training yourself to stop obeying it. When it speaks, answer with movement. Stand up, open the laptop, dial the number, walk out the door. Let your body lead when your mind tries to bargain. Remember this: the man who waits for the perfect moment will die waiting. There is no perfect time when you'll suddenly be free of fear, doubt, or distractions. There is only this time, this imperfect, noisy, slightly inconvenient moment right now. The Stoic warrior understands that later is a luxury he cannot afford if he wants to live fully awake. Later is a polite word for never when you are weak. But you are not doomed to stay weak. Every time you choose now over later, you forge a little more strength into your character. Every rep you do, every message you finally send, every page you write, every small task you finish instead of delaying it, all adds up. If you need one sentence to carry into today, let it be this: I move now even if it's small, because my future depends on it. Number 7, nobody respects me. These words don't usually appear on the first day. They show up after a slow drip of disappointments. At home, you feel unheard. At work, people talk over you or ignore your ideas. In your friend group, your messages get left on read. One night, after another moment of being invisible, the sentence finally spills out. Nobody respects me. It sounds like a complaint about the world, but it reveals something about you. Respect is not something other people hand you out of charity. It's something that gathers around a person, like gravity, when their inner and outer lives begin to match. When your words line up with your actions, when your standards don't evaporate under pressure, when you stay calm where others explode, people feel it. They might not say it out loud, but they sense, I can't treat this person carelessly. Now imagine your self-respect as a clear glass container of water. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you pour a little more in. Every time you tell the truth when it would be easier to lie, you fill it a bit more. Every time you hold a boundary, even when you're scared to lose someone, the level rises. The reverse is also true. Every time you say you'll do something and don't, it's like opening a small valve at the bottom. Some water drains out. Every time you allow someone to talk down to you and you say nothing, every time you laugh at a joke that crosses your values just so you don't seem too serious, you turn that valve a little more. One day, you look around, and the container is almost empty. Then the sentence appears, nobody respects me. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. In other words, stop obsessing over how others treat you and pour that energy into who you are becoming. Seneca added, he who despises himself is despised by others. When you quietly betray yourself long enough, life begins to mirror that back to you. People treat you the way you have been showing them you are willing to be treated. There is a painful paradox here. You want to be respected, but you keep selling yourself for cheap. You tolerate small insults because you're afraid of conflict. You stay in conversations that drain you because you don't want to be rude. You over-explain decisions, trying to convince people you're not a bad person. You promise things just so people will like you, then crumble under the weight of those promises. Inside, it is not kindness, it is self-abandonment. The Stoic path moves in the opposite direction. A Stoic man does not march around demanding respect. He understands that external respect is an echo. The sound starts inside. It begins in the dark, quiet moments when no one is watching. The alarm going off, the workout you do anyway, the task you finish, the tongue you hold, the truth you speak gently but clearly. So, how do you start to rebuild when you feel like nobody respects you? Start small, very small. For the next week, give yourself one assignment. Every day, do one thing you told yourself you would do. It doesn't have to impress anyone. It might be making your bed, finishing a page of reading, walking for 10 minutes, turning off your screen at the time you said you would. The point is to practice being a man whose word means something, at least to himself. Then, practice one more thing. Learn to say no in low-stakes situations. When a friend asks for a favor you genuinely can't or shouldn't do, instead of writing a paragraph of excuses, try a simple, I can't this time. When someone pushes past a small boundary, try, that doesn't work for me. No drama, no lecture, no apology repeated 3 times, just a clear, calm no. You will feel guilty at first. That's normal. Your nervous system is used to earning connection by bending. But with each honest no, you quietly tell yourself, my comfort, my time, my values also matter. That's the soil where self-respect grows. Over time, these little acts change the way you carry yourself. You stand a bit straighter. Your words become fewer but heavier. You stop explaining every move to people who have already decided to misunderstand you. Some will resist it, some will fall away. The ones who stay and the new ones who come will meet you at your new level. Self-respect is the seed. External respect is just the fruit. You don't control the fruit, but you are entirely responsible for the seed. Write this somewhere. You'll see it today. Today, I act in a way that earns my own respect first. Number 8. Life is unfair. This sentence usually comes out when something cuts deep. You get passed over for a promotion even though you worked harder. Someone cheats and gets ahead. You were born into chaos while others were born into comfort. Good people you know get hit with illness, loss, or betrayal, while selfish people seem to skate through untouched. The anger rises in your chest and the words form almost automatically. Life is unfair. And you're right. It is. But the question is not whether life is unfair. The question is what you do with that fact. Imagine life as a gym where no one is handed the same weights. Some people walk in and are immediately loaded with 50 kilos of responsibility, sick parents, money pressure, emotional wounds. Others stroll in holding 5. You can stand there, looking at the person with lighter weights, and shout, "This isn't fair," all day. It will not make your load lighter. Or you can start training with what's in your hands. The man who learns to lift his uneven weight becomes strong in ways the others never have to. Unfair? Yes. But also an opportunity written in a harsh language. Or think of unfairness as fire. Seneca said, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests the brave." When metal is thrown into the flames, one of two things happens. Cheap material melts, warps, and falls apart. Real gold, under the same heat, is refined. The impurities burn off. What is solid remains, clearer and more radiant than before. The same fire, different result not because of the flame, but because of the material. When you say, "Life is unfair," what often follows in the shadows is another sentence. So, I'm allowed to stay angry and small. Calling every pain injustice gives you a strange moral high ground. You get to be the injured hero in your own story. For a moment, it feels comforting. You are right. They are wrong. But that comfort has a cost. It ties you to resentment like a chain. You start to measure your life by what others have that you don't. You keep mental scorecards of who had it easier. You retell the story of how you were wronged until it becomes your whole identity. The Stoics saw this trap clearly. They didn't deny unfairness. Marcus Aurelius buried children, lost loved ones, ruled during plague and war. He knew unfairness intimately, but instead of praying for easier days, he asked for the strength to meet hard days well. The Stoic posture is not, "Life should be fair," but life is a relentless teacher. I will not waste the lesson. So how do you turn the weight of unfairness into training instead of poison? Start with one replacement question. Every time you feel the words, "This is so unfair," rising, let them ring in your head, but don't let them leave your mouth. Instead, ask, what is this moment training in me? Is it training patience because you have to wait longer than others? Is it training courage because you must stand up for yourself with no guarantee you'll win? Is it training clarity because you finally see who around you is genuine and who is not? Is it training the ability to let go because you cannot force people to behave as you wish? Take a piece of paper and write down one current situation that feels deeply unfair. Underneath, write this sentence: "This situation is training my..." Fill in the blank with a quality you want to grow. Resilience, discipline, humility, focus, compassion, detachment. Then, each time the frustration spikes, bring your mind back to that word. Act as if life has assigned you a workout in that exact muscle. This is not about pretending pain doesn't hurt. It is about refusing to let that hurt be wasted. There is a difference between acknowledging injustice and building a home inside it. Acknowledge? Yes. Name it, set boundaries where you can, but don't live there. Don't make "I was treated unfairly" the main sentence of your life story. Many of the strongest parts of you were forged in seasons that were not fair. The empathy you have for others now because of what you survived. The determination not to repeat the patterns you grew up in. The fire that pushes you to build a different life for your children. None of that came from comfort. It came from carrying a weight you did not choose. The world doesn't have to be fair for you to become formidable. It just has to be real, and it is. You may not control the size of the storm, but you always control the training you draw from it. If you want one line to hold on to when life feels brutally uneven, let it be this: life is testing me, and I choose to train, not to whine. Some men spend their whole lives speaking like fools and wondering why life keeps treating them like one. They say, "I already know that," and their mind slowly closes, convinced that information is the same as transformation. Then they add, "That's easy," from the sidelines of a game they've never actually played. Together, those two phrases turn a man into a spectator of his own potential. They say, "It's not my fault," and weld another link onto the chain around their own wrists. Then, when the pain of judgment hits, they shout, "I don't care what anyone thinks," pretending that numbness is the same as freedom. They say, "That's just how I am," and turn their personality into a prison sentence. They whisper, "I'll do it later," and slowly sell their future to the comfort of now. When the consequences finally arrive, they sigh, "Nobody respects me," as if respect were a gift others forgot to give. And when life hits hard and unfair, they look up at the sky and say, "Life is unfair," then use that as a reason to stop trying instead of a reason to get stronger. That is one path. But you've walked another path with me in this video. You walked from "I already know that" to the humility of being a student again. From "that's easy" to respecting the weight other people have carried. From "it's not my fault" to "what part of this can I own and train?" From "I don't care what anyone thinks" to carefully choosing which voices are allowed into your inner circle. You walked from "that's just how I am" to "I am not fixed, I am being forged." From "I'll do it later" to taking one real step today, not tomorrow. From "nobody respects me" to quietly rebuilding your self-respect in the dark where no one can see. From "life is unfair" to treating every hardship as a gym for your courage, your patience, your clarity. A Stoic doesn't control the past. A Stoic doesn't control how fair the world is. A Stoic doesn't even control what other people will say about him when he leaves the room. But there is something he always owns: the way he speaks about his own life. Your words are not just sounds, they are maps. They show you where your mind lives. A man who constantly speaks like a victim eventually becomes one. A man who speaks like a student, a warrior, a builder of his own character slowly becomes that too. If you change the language you use about yourself, your pain, your failures, your future, you begin changing the man who is living inside that language. Hold this in your heart. From this day forward, I will speak like a man who respects his own mind. And if you're ready to lock that in, write this in the comments so your future self can come back and see it. I speak with wisdom, not with ego. If this spoke to you, like this video and subscribe to Stoic Current so we can keep rebuilding the way you think, speak, and live. And if you're ready to go deeper into self-respect and emotional control, there's another video waiting for you on the screen about mastering your anger, building real boundaries, and calming an overthinking mind. Don't just scroll. Choose what you feed your mind next.